Alright, so now we are in... I actually forgot the map, but that doesn't matter. We know what map this is. And we have Finzent onto the right side and Arvolder on the left side. It's going to be weird to try. I'm going to try to maintain this point of view with this left-right dynamic. Now, so my name is... I should probably introduce myself. My name is Metalphase, and people from the community probably recognize me off the bat because I post a lot on the SD League Discord. But if you don't know who I am a decent-ish player. I'm kind of middle of the pack when it comes to the Discord community, which represents most of the best players of SD2 currently, at least until in some point in the future we get a new influx of players. And so, all right, so why would you want to watch me cast a game? Well, I want to try to do something different, and I want to see if maybe we can try to analyze the game more closely than other casts have been doing, which have been running the game at one times and then non-stop, not pausing to analyze the actions and the overall strategy that each player is using. And that's kind of the fun of Steel Division for me, are those macro decisions that players make. Even for a game as hectic as Steel Division, there are these large decisions that you make when you approach a specific battle, and every battle is different from that perspective. So I don't know how I'm not sure how much patience the viewer would have of me just pausing every so often and analyzing something for like 10 minutes at a time. But this is the pilot episode, or I don't know, YouTube doesn't really work on an episode by episode basis. I don't know what, but I'll see what the reception is to a cast of this form, and if it's positive, I'll continue to do it in this style. But otherwise, if the viewers would like, or if I have any viewers, that is, if the viewers would like to do a more traditional cast, then that's also fine. But we're going to start off, and immediately I'm going to pause. I've paused the action right here. To analyze now the initial setup, which is probably the most important part of the game. You want to maximize your initial front line, so that you have you could, if you completely rout the initial wave of troops, for example, that sets you up long term, like really long term, for the rest of the game if you play your cards right. And so we have 3 lanes. We have top, middle, and bottom. So we'll go from the bottom up, starting with, let's see, I guess Finzent. So he has quite a large investment of units here, or at least it appears, because actually there's a lot of cheap units here. We have Ogmichiki, superior PPSHs, a commander, let's see, PPSH squads, Kazakis, an infantry support gun, and an MCHA. A pretty nice opening, I don't know, battle group, I guess. I'm not sure what the Soviet term is. We have the infantry support gun going in onto this hill, which is a very nice spot to have. The covers a really, really kind of weird junction in this map, where you just have this weirdly open space that you could try to push, but almost no one does. And if they do, having that one support gun, even just the one support gun, can pretty much shut it down, unless you're pushing with a heavy tank or something. But otherwise, everything else seems to be, except for perhaps like a Kazaki squad here, going very, very, very far into the forest. That's a very optimistic placement for the infantry, which is kind of strange because these are close range and you don't want to set them up to be ambushed immediately at beyond 100 meter range, because look at this. The radius of the smallest circle, that's as much as a PPS H squad could shoot at. And something like an MG42 would just rip them apart, especially out in the open. But a really good, as long as you have that MCHA there, you know, it's a kind of a safe bet, this initial force. So that's a nice little force, little battle group. On to Arvolder. It's gonna be hard to pronounce that. We have Jager, Flammenwerfer, Jager, Ersatztruppen, a Führer, Panzer Jager. That's pretty cool. And a Sturmjäger. And the Sturmjägers are the ones with the MP44s, I believe. This Panzer Jager could be very much a nuisance against this MCHA. And if played correctly, I do believe these are a much more well-rounded squad than the ones coming in from Finzent's side. But it doesn't have something to the quality of the MCHA. And that could be, you know, if Finzent plays it right, at range, he can defeat this squad pretty well. He just needs to make sure he keeps this initial squad deployment of infantry alive enough. All right, now to the middle, and yeah, this is taking a while, but you know, this is I'm banking my YouTube casting quote-unquote career on my niche of just over-analyzing everything. Wow. Okay, let's start with this pack on the road. We have superior PPSHs, quite a lot of them. Ognamachiki, Kazaki, a 45mm PPSH squad, infantry gun, and another Kazaki. Yeah. All right, let's get rid of those blue units. Okay, well, and you also have an AT gun, superior PPSH squad, and a Kazaki squad. And you know, I'm sure he says the support gun and the AT gun, probably the AT gun here, and the superior PPSH squads. Again, everything is very, you know, I'm sure that Finzent thinks that the 105 km/h Jeeps can cover as so much ground that you can deploy it so far, but it's still a bit risky, and you don't want to, you know, the 9th Cav, you either play all, you know, for the 9th Cav, you either want to play it very balls to the wall, or you just, you know, you play, well, I guess there's no really conservative way to play 9th Cav, to be honest. So perhaps it's actually going to work, and you know, maybe he can prove me wrong. Let's hope that he can deploy his forward troops successfully. On Arvolder's side, Sturmjäger, Flamethrower, Ersatztruppen, Jager, Flammenwerfer, and Commandant. That's a very, very early Commandant. And a 50mm gun, AT gun, and a support gun. I like this. I like the early use of the Commandant. It's something that I don't do enough of, and you know, I always beat myself when I don't bring in the Commandant as, you know, as early as possible, because you know, sometimes you get caught off guard in some area and you need to rush in some troops to hold the line, so you never end up using the Commandant. But putting it, you know, taking it out very early, and especially with this quality, this mass of quality infantry, could be the tipping point for the center town fight. So I really like that deployment. Up to the top, we have superior PPSHs, 45. There's a lot of seems to be a lot of PPSH squads, and it's kind of strange. There aren't actually any long-range squads being used and deployed into this area. And it's strange because this is not a close range fight. If he's hoping to push the close range infantry into the screen, you know, the heavy forest, it'll, you know, it's not going to be a very easy task, because look at the ground you're covering and how open it is to longer range weaponry. So there is the last of Finzent's deployment, and Arvolder seems to have the lightest portion of his initial phase of initial deployment here. So with his Jager Pioneers, Sturmjägers, an IG-18, and a Stug 3. No AT gun, but he doesn't really, well, with the 9th Kav, against the 9th Kav, you have to expect an MCHA anywhere at any point. But with the Stug 3, and at a 2-star or 2 vetted Stug, and at long enough range, it could be sufficient. And it seems like the IG-18 probably is going to go here, and the rest of his squad's going to go here, and that's, he's deploying it in the green heavy cover. And if he does it, if he does what I think he's going to do and push them into this front facing area, he will just mow down any incoming infantry. So yeah, I don't really. It can work. It can work, especially if he goes super aggressive with the jeeps and try to push really hard onto this forest here. And if he's lucky, unload all of them. But that's that's a very tough ask. So after what, like 8 minutes, we can finally start the game, and let's go. So we've said everything that needed to be said about the deployment, and we have a couple of choices to really analyze how the initial battles are going to go out. But I'm going to guess that we're going to see a lot of action on the southern side. So let's pay attention to. Oops. I wish there was a way to turn off the sticky. There we go. Let's see. Looks like Arvolder is going to get there pretty early. This little bend in the road really prolongs the time that the Soviet or the red player takes to get to this forest, and that's a shame because it looks like this initial infantry is just going to get caught out in the open, depending on whether or not Arvolder pushes up his infantry, and it looks like he is. Finzent doesn't seem to be moving his infantry, and oh boy. And already they're engaging, and they can't respond. And there's nothing that these squads can do with the exception of the Kazaki, but that's what is a Kazaki going to do against a Sturmjäger with 7 MP44s and an MG44? And there goes the Kazaki squad as well. Finzent seems to be pushing forward, but against all of this elite, upfetted, MG42 equipped, MP44 equipped squads, this is all going to die. And that is pretty rough. The MCHA has not used the fast move in the last part of its travel, so it's not going to be able to prevent anything from surviving. Ouch. Into the middle, we have a very long range fight between a Kazaki squad and a Jager squad, which is pretty hilarious. You have the two worst squads in the game going at it, but one has an MG42, and it has the 3-star vet with the commandant, so we know who's going to win this battle. In the north, we have the 45mm gun taking shots at the Stug 3, and here comes the infantry, and again, Finzent needs to retreat. He already lost about maybe 60-70 points on the southern side worth of infantry. He needs to preserve as many points as possible from losing, or what did I say? He needs to retain as many points worth of infantry, just so that he doesn't have to spend more money to reinforce this area. Arvolder did take out the AT gun, and with that gone, he still has this AT gun here, but it's not covering the open area here. If it was pushed here, it could have a very small window where it can engage the Stug 3, But so I don't know. Arvolder could potentially move across. There's aren't at least one. He could use one squad to probe and to see what's out there. Back to the south. The Amcha's still there again. Yeah. Arvolder, he's down a point and he has one for the taking. He knows that he got rid of a really, really large portion of the initial infantry. So if I were him, I would try to push up really aggressively, because you have a really, really good, well-rounded basic, like a battalion. I don't know what a battalion, how much a battalion is, but maybe like a nice, like a group, a company of troops. He seems to be doing it right now. He needs to bring up the Panzer Jager. He knows that the Amcha is there. He has to be aggressive with the Panzer Jager, and in fact, the Panzer Jager is a really cool infantry squad in the first place. But he doesn't seem to be using it, and that's a shame, because this point could have been taken down in like 5 minutes or less. He's not reinforcing it with anything, so this is strange. He's kind of moving everything piecemeal, but that's okay. I mean, no one's perfect, and I'm the one watching with visibility of all units. So, what else is going on? Not much. Some reinforcing here with Sturmjägers. Amcha coming up, Kasaki squad. We have Arvolder taking this point, and reinforcing with a lot of Ersatz-Truppen. There is a T-34 covering this advance, and provided nothing else interesting is happening, let's see what happens to these poor Ersatz-Truppen if they move into its line of sight. There goes one. There goes two. It's very fortunate that it's not an Amcha and it doesn't have that high rate of fire, but it looks like two squads are going to make it. He could have been, he could have microed his pack gun to be forward. It is, I'm sure it was very hectic here. Oh, and I missed it, but looks like the HS-129 gets rid of two T-34s and an Amcha. And there goes 1 point to Arvolder. So very nicely done there. And immediately pushing forward with the infantry just to make sure that he covers, he basically prevents any forward advance. If he brings in an AT gun here, that will, and an infantry gun, if he has those two, then it will severely hamper any attempt to advance back into this forest. Finzent's only other choice would have to be to unload infantry here, maybe, and then work his way back. And it's going to be hard, because this is a really, really nice force here. So now we're actually 7 minutes into the game, and I'm going to do something that's, I hope, well, hopefully will separate me between other casters. So we have this situation currently. We have a 12-12 tie, one with the one with the less points in Vanguard, and one in Maverick with more points. And we're going to go player by player and see every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes what decisions they should be making, or what they could make is more appropriate, what they could make to win the battle according to what they know currently. So let's start with Finzent. So this is what Finzent sees currently. This will pretty much be an exercise of reading the lines, and this is a really it's strange, but this is a skill in this game, is reading what the lines say, and then perhaps that's what a lot of war game players don't like this aspect of the game, that there is no such thing as a surprise attack. There's the amount of new units that you have is always known to some degree, but I actually like it. It's a really interesting gameplay design. But anyway, enough rambling. Let's see what he sees here. So he knows that there is something in this area, and he knows that it was from his failed attempt to capture it, that there are long-range infantry squads and a tank. So, and here he knows that there's at least a couple squads, or even just one squad of infantry taking control of this point. He also knows that there's a lot of infantry here, and with a lot of vet. And finally, he knows that he's lost this point to a really intensely equipped, or very well-equipped company of infantry. So what are his choices? It seems like this is the easiest point to capture, and it definitely is, especially because he has those PPSH squads, and he has, Kazakis, which are not great, but they're at the very least decent in close range. So this is a nice area to push, to push the edge towards the 1311. For this side, he really needs to make more use of MCHAs. Those MCHAs, they're not the greatest anti-tank, but they do have really fast-firing cannons, and they do have 100 millimeters of frontal armor, which is actually not negligible. It's a really good armor profile, and this is the kind of cover you want to work with an MCHA. You have, even if you just push it very conservatively here, and if he reveals the infantry with a probing squad, he can take it out he can just completely wreck all of the infantry here with 2 MCHAs, or about 120 points. He could also use artillery. I kind of forgot what kind of artillery he took, but if he has any in phase A, this is a very small area, and so it's probably saturated with units, and he could use that and then push up with maybe just 1 MCHA and the rest of the squads. So maybe like with 120 points, for example, he could have a mortar firing here, and then 1 MCHA providing support, supporting fire for this small group of infantry. And that will secure, if it is successful, he could secure this line of sight, prevent reinforcements to arrive, and then take this point here. This is not the easiest point to take, because you also have this hill here, but if we see what the sight lines are, there isn't really a point where it's under threat from anything in here. And lastly, this is the hardest point. As soon as you lose this point, it becomes really, really hard to take back. And when you do want to take back, it's with a heavy cost in the form of artillery and infantry. He's lucky that there isn't an AT gun here, and if he knew that, or if he does know that, he can take advantage and just push up very aggressively with MCHAs or whatever tanks he has. But he has to do that really soon and really quick before that does happen. In the middle, we don't have the most infantry, a lot of infantry protecting this, but the mere existence of the MCHA and the T-34 is quite enough to prevent anything from really happening. Although I would like him to switch from the MCHA to the T-34 in terms of like the placement, because the T-34 doesn't even have that much frontal armor, and it's far slower. And I mean, obviously you do have more penetration with the T-34 cannon, but as you've seen, he's been reinforcing with what are they called? I forget what the trucks are called, but you know, so they're not armored, so it doesn't matter what the penetration is. And he, you know, if you just switch these two, I mean, although he does have this support gun here, but again, that's just a little nitpick. If he does want to advance here, this is really hard because as soon as you go in here, you have look at all of the angles of fire you can be fired upon, and that's not you have not even arrived at this point, and holding it as well with that reinforcement road so close by, and with so many angles of attack, it's not an easy one to hold. So now let us go to Arvolder. Let's see what he sees. Now the most optimistic side is this one, because look at this. You have two really easy points here that you could grab, and you have Sturmjägers. This is the engagement distance you want them to have. And it is a bit risky because you don't know what's in this forest, but if he pushes here, you know, he could potentially get rid of whatever small squad is still holding it. The battle lines also just suggest that there is something here. If there wasn't something here, it would just be a flat gradient, or well, it's not flat. It's a, but you know what I mean. It would be concaved in. So if he knows that there's something there, he has the range. His squads are in range to engage it. He just needs to reveal it, and he has the IG-18. So as soon as it is revealed, it's gone, and there goes 1 point towards Arvolder. So 2 easy points on this side that could be taken by Arvolder. I don't know. I guess there's not much you can really say from what the lines say. Like from here, you can guess that there is something within this general vicinity pushing the battle line this way, and there's probably something here. So, but that's about it. And yeah, maybe you don't want to risk this very advantageous position in a push forward, especially when you have these 2 easy points ready to be taken. From the middle, if he does want, he can hold his current position with the Ersatztruppen and push with the higher quality Jaegers. It's actually funny because it's so much easier to push. I don't know. I guess it is much easier to push forward on this side than on the opposite side because there's, well, I don't know. You guys will have to debate that for me. But I do tend to find that it's easier to push forward to this point than it is to push this point as the opposite side. So yeah, that being said, if he wanted to push forward, he can, you know, the Ersatztruppen are great because they're competent enough to hold their ground as a placeholder, while the big boys do the rest of the work. And he could potentially do that with the Jaegers if he brings in more infantry. And he also has his I didn't notice this before, but he has the artillery here, and it's at close enough range to provide really fast fire support. Now down to here, he has kind of an excess of troops, and they're not, you know, I think this amount of troops is fine to keep in there as long as you eventually bring in the AT gun and support gun. But he has a lot of troops here. He has 2 squads here in the waiting. This squad here, I forget he can keep that there if he wants. But these 2 Jaeger squads, another Jaeger squad, and an Ersatztruppen, he should know that with this salient here, there is something on this side of the forest. And this is a nice way of fighting your way towards the city, is to not attack straight on, but to attack from the side and secure the open ground essentially, and then move in like a tank, or put in a support gun or an infantry gun, and that point would eventually go down. It's easier said than done. I don't think I've probably done it maybe once or twice competitively. So it's not an easy task. But I've gone on for a very long time. Hopefully this isn't annoying to the viewer. And we're going to go back to neutral. And we're going to start again. And we'll see what each player seems to be doing. Look at this. Look at this hero. Look at this hero of a tank. Less than 100 meters. Literally like 20 meters away. And just destroy. Oh my god. It's a slaughter. That is a very sad sight. But surprisingly, at 3 vet, these Jaegers are lasting quite a long time than they probably should. Here comes a Volk-Wolf trying to take out the infantry gun, and it does. That's a great move to prevent those 2 HE shells from further damaging your city infantry. He does not have the AT gun really doing anything, and you know, if he did put it here, it's not like it's going to do anything. So it's just going to have to remain like this for a while until he gets something to reinforce, perhaps like a Stug or another AT gun placed here. And it's nice to see that Arvolder is going to be deploying his Jaeger squads here. And there's only Kazaki squad here, one of them. And it's a pretty pathetic squad with only 4 Nelson Nagants and a DP to really engage at beyond 100 meters. But Arvolder doesn't seem to be moving his squads in, so that's too bad. Back to the top. Nothing is happening. We have 3 MG squads all converging to the same spot, which is kind of weird. You would probably want to space them out so that it doesn't get immediately taken out by one artillery volley. But perhaps if he, well, let's just see where he places them afterwards. Look at that. There goes 1 point, and it's a 13-11, and this is still in phase A, so technically Arvolder should be having the advantage anyway. But yeah, he's now winning after having been on the opposite end of the battle. Yeah. Against this, there's only a superior PPSH squad if you just placed, and you know that the Sturmjäger is one of the better CQC infantry. But you know, it's only 6 HP. There's only 6 HP left on this squad, so maybe he wants to just take it safe, which is not a bad idea. There goes down a Valentine. I'm not sure why you would. Yeah, that's kind of strange. These are expensive, very expensive tanks, anti-tank tanks. I mean, they're not in the anti-tank tab, but they're essentially bought because they have those 150mm pen. But up until now, he hasn't seen a single tank on this side, and it's not a good platform for. It's not a good infantry support weapon, and he could be. Yeah, this is not going to really affect this battle at all. And here comes another strike from the HS-129. Gonna get a nice vantage point. I don't think I've really framed that very well, but that's alright. Here comes the Jaegers, 2 of them engaging, 1 vet each against the Kazaki. That's going to go down very, very easily. Down goes the HS-129 to the Lag 3, and that was a great counter strike. But it's gonna get engaged with the Volk-Wolf 190 and go down. And that's a shame. That's a very nice airplane that you don't want to lose. Here come the SVTs. I should have noticed earlier that we're in B phase, and now Finzent has access to these 15-point squads. And this could mop the floor, even against these Jaegers. But because of this Commandant, that probably is not going to happen. You know, with one vet, these squads that are already pretty good still won't be able to handle this small force, as small as they are. He needs to bring up his commander, because look at that, they're losing their vet immediately outside of the radius. But now he's doing it. That's a great job. But to tip the edge even further, he does need to have a Commandant. He has brought T-34s. So it looks like Finzent really wants this center city. There goes a crew killed to the Panzerbusch. 2 of them. This is actually very nicely deployed by Arvolder. You have like 50 points into 2 AT guns that are quite enough to take out any allied tank, at least from the 9th Cav. But this push is actually going pretty well because he's using these T-34s very well. And the infantry gun, or at least the Pak-38, has revealed itself to the infantry gun. This could be very fortunate for Finzent. Down goes that infantry gun as well. But there's nothing really that Arvolder can really expand, because he doesn't. The Jaeger deck is not the most mobile, so he's gonna probably stay put for now. And his best bet would be advancing with the Jaegers here. It looks like the city has fallen to Finzent. The commandant has to be careful not to get caught by the SVTs. In comes the Stug. Although there aren't any tanks to engagement, because they've been taken down by the Panzerbusch. Really great cost effectiveness there. But he needs to hurry up and get some infantry in there before he loses this. Somehow the Pak-38 doesn't go down to the infantry gun. I guess they lost sight some time ago. I wonder what this, because I think Finzent has lost sight of this squad. They could have pushed up here, but I don't think he's going to commit to this point just yet. I think he's more worried about absolutely securing this middle part here. But it's looking a little bit harder because we have the 3-star Jaegers, and at that range, where I mean, like, it's not like they're not. Look at that, 2 G43s and an MG42. Yeah, they're not going to do very well, but at 3 vetted, that's still pretty scary. But again, like, 1 star and taking fire at so many angles. This is a really hard point to push again. And now we have this Stu, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's Stu 42. And that can pretty much guarantee no advance is going to be coming in from this side of the town at the very least. Or actually, yeah, the fact that there aren't any buildings on this side means that he has view of this line of houses. In fact, he could even see those 2 houses. So yeah, it's really hard to secure anything on this side. And Nemcha has been brought up, but there isn't any infantry to reveal anything to it. Which is sad. Which is kind of sad. It seems like I've missed again due to my incompetence. 1 Emcha go down, and the other, I'm gonna guess there was like a HS-129 there. Arvolder has been using his air very well. I know Finzent has deployed some small, I mean, like the 37 millimeters are good, but they're only good once you have two around the same area. Ooh, this is not, oh okay, he has it bailed out. I was gonna say that this is not a great engagement for the Emcha, but seems like it worked to its favor with the two of them there. Finzent really needs to stop this from being a complete rout, because there's maybe 15, let's see, there's like 6, or what is it, 7, 8, it's 15 plus 2, 17 men and less holding this 1 point, and if all of them go down, there's going to be a humongous loss of territory. Looks like 2 Kazaki squads go down. There used to be another Jager squad here, so that seems like that engagement was in the favor of Jager squad. Although, I don't know, I think this Kazaki squad should win out if he pushes up, but there isn't any other infantry there, so he doesn't want to lose that territory anymore. This is kind of precarious for Finzent, who does have a 60-point advantage, but is still losing. Oh, and there goes down the infantry squad, or the infantry support gun. The Kazaki gets unloaded. Again, yeah, I wish this Kazaki squad moved up, because this could take over this town, at least while the Stormjager are being engaged with. Look at how many units Arvolder has here. This is a really, really scary sight to behold. Incoming, here comes more Jaegers, going to reinforce this fight for the hill. We have a pack 70 or pack 40 deployed. Oh shoot, it's already 20 minutes into the game. At the 20-minute mark, we'll stop again and reanalyze. We have the Emchas engaging this group of infantry, but the Arvolder seems to have reinforced with the perfect counter, aside from an AT gun, in the form of a Panzerjäger, and it looks like these Emchas will have to stay put for the meantime until it gets reinforced. There's some reinforcement of infantry here. And here comes the HS-129. This time I will promise not to lose sight of it. And it looks like 1 Emcha goes down. 2 Emchas go down. Oh boy. So we're at the 20-minute mark. Let us re-evaluate and see and look at what's happened so far. Starting with Arvolder, because he seems to be winning. Or at least he's on the side of he seems to be on the more optimistic side. So I like starting from here. Everything seems pretty good. He could unload this and completely shut down any incoming advance, and with his Jaegers, he can secure the foothill. I'm kind of debating. I mean, maybe if he doesn't have enough leaders, although it is phase C, he could bring up a leader and just upvet these guys, and then that extra vet could be a tipping point to whatever stands in the way, because veterancy is king in this game. These Kazaki SVTs are out in the open with an MT42. That's not a good, not a good sign against a squad that has no MGs equipped. In the center, Arvolder, this is up for his taking. Actually, I have not mentioned the battle lines, or whatever, the front line. I mean, all this really says that, the salient here just says that there's something here. But otherwise, yeah, it doesn't say much except for like there's something in this general vicinity here. But Arvolder has seen the failed push of Finzent, and he knows now that he no longer has 180 points. He has, look at that, 3 Jager squads. They have Panzerfausts, and the rest of the fight is at the very least, or at the very most, maybe 200 meters starting from the bottom here. And well, unfortunately, he doesn't have this Stug 3 available. And there are 2 Emchas that he knows of. So his next real bet is maybe take that HS-129 and go after these guys next. Or bring up an AT gun or a Stug. Well, actually, a Stug won't do well against 2 because, yeah. Sherman's going to beat out a single Stug. But, you know, this is a really... He can take advantage of this momentary weakness on Finzent's side and win out the Battle of the City and just maintain this line here, and provided everything goes well for him, take this very nice easy point. He has this smaller city off to the side under his control, but it's a little bit precarious. He has not used the Ersatztruppen. If he put it here, if he advanced a little bit at least one of the Ersatztruppen, he could have a nice, he would have a view of any potential reinforcements coming in from the back. Otherwise, it seems like he wants to reinforce this forest here with a Sturmjäger and potentially improve the defense of this city, because that's pretty much preventing Finzent from getting any point advantage. And finally, we have this 1 point here that's out of the control of Arvolder. I don't know, I have not seen, or at least I don't remember if there were any advanced units in these 2 houses, but if they were there would have been a larger salient in this area. But it seems like we're gonna have some Jaegers here, and an additional amount. Let's see, Sturmjäger, perfect, and another Sturmjäger. I would like to see Arvolder use more Stugs. They're not going to be the greatest against Emchas, but he needs some fire support that's impervious to small arms fire. Because this is this is an easy point to grab. This is probably going to go down as soon as I press play. Let's kind of speed things up and look at Finzent's side, starting with this side. So he actually doesn't have anything here, and the front line is just being... the front line has only just been advanced because there aren't any... Arvolder doesn't actually have any units here. Strangely, he doesn't have this point yet. But I'm sure as soon as I press play, it's going to move to encapsulate that point as well. But he's going to lose it very soon to the incoming reinforcements. What Finzent needs to do... Well, actually, I don't know what he has to do because he's at 80 points. This is a very, very bad time to be Finzent, because with 80 points, you could only get 1 Emcha at a time, and the Kozaki squad. Just as a frame of reference. I don't know what he has to do. I mean, you know, if he wasn't handicapped by the 80 points, I could just say, yeah, get some medium to short range infantry and an Emcha, and continue doing what you tried to do, but with infantry support. Because look at this, like, he has no infantry here. If he had the infantry coming in to support the Emchas, this would be gone. Like, this would be controlled by Finzent. Here, yeah, he needs to also. Perhaps he's already realized it, but the fight for this middle city has not been successful, and the sooner he realizes that, the sooner he can focus on the points that are easier to take, which are this one, or which is this one and that one. So if I mean, up to this point, we haven't seen any like large caliber AT gun at this point. So he could theoretically bring in units this way and take that 1 point. But otherwise, yeah, this is a really difficult position for Finzent because I don't know. You're not gonna like if we look at this side. Yeah, you can make a play with artillery with a completely combined arms approach, but it's going to take a while to mount a sufficient amount of units to take back this one flag or two flags with only 80 points per minute. So let's resume, and I think that will be the last pause that we'll have, and we'll just let the rest of the game play out. Oh, okay. I was, yeah, I knew that was something was weird. Yeah, I completely forgot that Arvolder does have infantry here. So, but yeah, Finzent does know at the very least that there is still something here. So, okay, this isn't as easy as to capture after all. So it's even worse for Finzent. Wow. Oh man, I sound very stupid. Yeah. Well, it doesn't really change the fact that yeah, you could with even just one Sherman, and like 1, 2, 3 squads, he could still make a play. He really needs to get rid of the HS-129s. He does have a really good air tab as the 9th Cav. He needs to make more use of that because I haven't seen outside of that one shot down fighter anything to prevent the HS-129 from just completely destroying the one thing that makes the 9th Cav as good as they are. Look at that, another Amtra gone. He does have, and he needs to deploy the AA guns much further forward. There goes the HS-129 though. So, if you just imagine that if it was deployed here, or sorry, maybe like here, or wow, that's too exposed. But if he put it here, for example, or here, he could have shot it down much earlier, or even just prevented that strike overall. Let me go back to this point of view. Wow. There goes one SVT squad, and there goes another. And I don't even think this amount of units can really mount an attack, not while there's an MG42 squad providing support. I forgot to mention that we have 4 Su-76s, so it seems like Finzent had a stockpile of points that he had not used. This is interesting. He could, we haven't seen any artillery on his side, but if he did use it, well, really, actually, this isn't a great area to use it in because, I mean, what are you going to do with all of this infantry built up and up vetted to the point where they're very, very resistant to artillery. Nonetheless, with 4 Su-76s, he could route everything. But this has to be if he wants to do that, it has to be a very calculated maneuver. Arvolder finally brings up the Pak 40, and this is gonna, yeah, there is nothing coming back into this building here. Oh, those poor Osnasses. Yeah, you're not gonna dodge MG42 fire. Yeah. Such a sad loss. Here comes some artillery fire though. This is very exciting. Although it's a bit spread out. I think they. Well, could he have, if he put it all in one spot and just and routed a whole bunch of units, he wouldn't be losing the firefight right now, because he is losing the firefight. Because 3 Jager squads, all equipped with 7 MP40s. Provided the the MP40 is not actually a great submachine gun. Oh, look at that. The only thing saving them is the veterancy. This could go any way. If that SCU-76 fire came down right as they're advancing, this whole push would be nullified by Finzent. But because that didn't happen, he's able to bring up. Oh, there's a very fortunate strike there. And again, this artillery observer or commander prevents their surrender, but there goes one surrender. And this one's not going to be surrendered because of the artillery leader there. Finally, Finzent does bring in the Kazaki from that tree line there and retakes this city here. But he should have done this during B phase, because now we have we have 2 squads of Sturmjägers, very angry Sturmjägers coming to retake this squad so that they can ethnically cleanse these Russians, as the Germans quite want to do. They are in the open though. I wonder what's going to happen here. Let's see how this works out. Oh man. Alright. Yep, that SU-76 just saved a giant ass whooping. Just one more, and there goes like 60, 80 points there. Pretty good. Pretty good strike from Finzent. It's still looking bad, but this is a moral victory that you want to have as someone on the losing side, and I've been on the losing side for a lot of times, and you want to take every win that you can get. Yeah, I think finally now that the RT has come up, you can see why. Like, you can see that this was the last ingredient to being able to take out these really hard to capture points. If he had used this artillery while he had the 180 points, this would have been gone a lot. This could have been gone at the very least sooner. Here comes a strike from another Focke-Wulf. Kind of underwhelming, but the good use of artillery could actually by itself get rid of this infantry, although there are Jaeger pioneers being brought up. Yeah, this is it looks like we know who the winner is quite already. Arvolder should know that. I mean, look at all this infantry here, actually. There's a lot of infantry here. He needs to push them right now. I mean, he doesn't have to. I mean, he's winning right now, but not by much. But look at that. If I knew that I could, if I was scared of losing this line, I would keep 2 here and then bring up the rest, just to see what there is, because there. With so much fire support from here, this is a kind of a easy. I mean, there isn't any point here to take, but it's such a advantageous position to have. He really should go for it, because from there, as I said, you get access to this point here. It looks like the last of the Kozakis deployed here are. Actually, they're not taking fire from anybody. I wonder who they are engaging with. Who are they engaging them with? Well, they're being engaged by the MG42 now. And that's gone. That squad is gone. It's pretty funny that we have the 2 superior PSHs still there from the beginning. They haven't really done anything, but the fact that they're there with the Panzerfausts means that Arvolder can't just rush into this town, so it's a nice thing going on for Finzent. Here comes another HS-129, about to get another free kill. And there goes an MCHA. Unfortunately, I don't play with high graphics, so there's not a lot to be admired from this camera work. It's kind of a shitty. It looks kind of shitty compared to other casters, but a flaming tank carcass is always a nice sight to behold. There's not much I can really say because at 80 points versus 110 points, it's only a 30-point difference, but it's enough. And especially with the amount of units that Arvolder has more, that I think we know that. I think we can see that Arvolder is gonna weather this much better. But look at all this infantry. Like, yeah, Arvolder really needs to push now. Not much else to be said. Although, yeah, there are this Su-76s here that perhaps Arvolder is keeping in mind. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why, if you want to engage here, because so he seems to be, or well, he did cancel the order to attack here with the artillery volley. Because if you do attack here with the artillery volley, the point of any artillery volley is to stun or decimate anything in the area, but you have nothing to affect the front line to capture it anyways. So, yeah. Here comes the Sturmjägers doing what they should have done the first time, but were not able to do because of the one Su-76 shell. And there goes... oh, not yet. But there goes the point. And he has two more in the waiting. And very nice. I like how he's keeping one here just to be safe. He doesn't know if he's going to get very unlucky again. But he's going to come in with the three very scary Sturmjägers to secure that city. And the south is the same. It's pretty... wow, look at how aggressive this Su-76 recon tank. And look how useless the recon is in this game, that it does not see this very obvious collection of German troops just circle jerking to pass the time. I'm surprised. Oh, there we go. There he goes. And there, the Su-76 is going. Yeah. Oh, and we get a surrender. So, after 32 minutes, we get a pretty decisive, although, well, it's not very decisive, but we see a loss on Finzent's side. And the kill-death ratio is not very kind to Finzent, with almost twice as many losses as kills, and I'm gonna guess most of those losses came in the form of not the infantry but the tanks. Honestly, if he had more anti-air capabilities, if he had just taken out one or two of the HS-129s, he could have been a lot more successful. And if he had used the artillery, he could have won a lot of infantry firefights that were beyond his reach. As for Arvolder, he's done everything that you kind of want to do. He used the air tab very well as the 28th Jaegers. He used the infantry very well. And, well, unfortunately he didn't use as many tanks as I would have liked, but, you know, I guess you don't want to use... You're not really going to use the tanks in Jaegers anyway, or at least you're not going to expect to have to use tanks as the 20th Jaeger. Finzent, let's see. Looks like he gets a good... Wow, nice. Very nice. Oh, this was the tank. This was the T-34 that just shot down all the reinforcements. So he got, I think that's like 30 points, 60, 90, and 120 points out of a 45-point investment. That's a great trade. But unfortunately, nothing else really punched above its belt for Finzent. For Arvolder, the opposite is true, apparently. Look at that. 1 Sturm Jager with twice as many vet. This was from the initial forest engagement. And yeah, you don't want to deploy your units very far where you can't guarantee their survival, especially when they're close range. Another Sturm Jager gets a lot of kills. This was probably on the opposite end of the fight in the forests. We have 2 HS-129s taking down an Emcha, Valentine, Emcha, T-34, Emcha, T-34, Valentine. Wow, that is amazing. Amazing value, and only one of those were shot down as far as I know. And we still have another one. Wow, this one, Taufer has 2, 4, 6, 7 Emchas. 7 times 120. I can't really do the math in my head. I think that's 7 times 20. That's like 840 points for like 120, I think, points. Wow. Very well done with the airplane usage. That really gave the decisive edge to Arvolder. And it really didn't have to he didn't really have to have that advantage if Finzent used more more anti-air, and used any planes outside of his first airplane. You know, the air tab. He had a quite well. I don't know. He had a really good selection of air units in his air tab, but he didn't really use any of them, and it's kind of puzzling. And the rest is pretty self-explanatory. It seems like the really good units did what good units do and take down a lot of bad units, or rather worse units. But anyway, that is the end of the game, and that is the end of my first cast. Hopefully you guys like it, and let me know if this is something you would like to see more of, and additionally, if this shtick of pausing the game and over-analyzing every little detail is something that would be enjoyable. So this is Metalphase, and hope you guys have a good night or a good day wherever you are.